And I was like, it is literally like 9 a.m. for me right now. Like it is not nighttime at all. But but yeah, okay, sweet. We are live everywhere. But yeah, welcome everyone. If you are joining us live, if you're joining in on Facebook or YouTube, um, just say a little hey. I always like to see who's in here. Sometimes I get the little like notification of like there's four people watching right now, but I don't know what four people. So it's always fun to see who it is in here. Nada, I saw you jump on the live that I was doing yesterday, and I was like,
Yeah, I
hey,
tried as much as possible to listen.
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks. But yeah, if y'all have any questions through this whole thing, um, drop them in the comments. I know we're going to be talking about wedding timelines. We're going to be talking about communication and scheduling and all of that, which I know is a big deal for a lot of people where it's just it is overwhelming. So if y'all have any questions, not as the pro here, and yeah, so drop them in the comments, and I will bring those in whenever it makes sense. Um, I think we are all good. Yeah, Nada, I guess we can start the podcast.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here. Excited to chat again. I know we get to chat like fairly regularly, just through like Instagram DMs and all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't. I know before we started recording, we were looking at the last episode that you were on, and you looked it up and it was like episode 61, which
I
I don't
know.
even know how long ago that was now. Probably like 2021 maybe. um,
Possibly.
but yeah, that is crazy. It's been so long, but I'm really excited to have you back. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad that I was able to jump back in here and help with a little bit more.
Yes, yeah, me too. I'm excited. And one of these days we will get to like hang out in person again.
Right?
um, I know we missed each other last time I was in Florida, and I was like, all right, we're gonna have to figure out schedules one of these days whenever our schedules slow down a little bit.
Yeah. I think it was like before COVID in 2019, I think was the
I
last time we were
I
in the
think
same
so.
place
I think so. Yeah. And that
physically.
I think that was whenever we met too. So we
Yeah.
really haven't seen each other in person since we met, which is it feels so weird because it feels like we've seen each other so many times.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, well, okay, so there's something new that I'm doing. I just did this. I haven't any of the episodes that have come out to Spotify or Apple or wherever. No one's heard this yet,
Ooh.
but I just recorded an episode last week, and I before we get into like what you do, where you're based, kind of your bio and everything, I want to do some questions for the guests to kind of get to know, or the listeners to get to know you, my guest.
I like it.
So, are you familiar with Stephen Colbert from like The Late Show and
Yeah.
Colbert Report? He has something on The Late Show that he calls the Colbert Questionnaire, and it's just a bunch of questions. Some of them super like just like silly, like apples or
Silly.
oranges and stuff like that.
I like it.
And yeah, so I have them numbered here.
Mm.
I'm just gonna have you pick two numbers between 1 and 15, and I will ask you those questions.
2 and 8.
2 and 8. Okay, so two is what's one thing that you own that you should really throw out?
Oh man. This is a hard one because I'm really good at not hoarding stuff.
Okay, that's good. I was gonna
I
say
like
your
re-
office is always like nice and clean and minimalist. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna be anything.
there's oh, this is hard. There's probably some stuff from my kids from they were little that could probably go.
Like the sentimental, like, oh, they used to love playing with this toy,
Yeah, yeah,
and
some
yeah,
of that. I have been teaching them how to be good at not holding on to things either. So we do like cleanups and put together toys and games to give to people,
nice,
um, especially during certain times of the year. So, I teach them about like what is that you need to keep, what is that you should keep, and why, and all that kind of stuff. So I try not to hoard stuff. I am married to somebody who has stuff that he should get rid of for sure. So I have to balance that out. My husband has stuff from college days. We were both players. Like we played professional in Brazil, and then we played college sports. And he has stuff from when he played that he hasn't even looked at in years. And I'm like,
Mhm.
why? Like people could be wearing these things. So I'm really good at like getting
Oh
rid of
yeah.
stuff. So probably maybe some stuff from the kids are still around that could be
Yeah.
let go.
No, I understand that. Yeah, I love that you do that with the kids though. Of like,
Yeah,
we're gonna go through this stuff, and pick out the stuff that you love, that you play with all the time, that
yeah,
you don't want to get rid of for sure, and then everything else we get to
yeah,
go help other people who don't have a lot of toys, and
yeah.
they can have these.
And they love it. We actually
Yeah.
drive to a shelter and I make them like
Oh,
turn it
that's cool.
in so they
Oh,
like
nice.
have the feeling of like I'm doing this and this is
Yeah, instead of
good.
just like, all right,
Um,
mom took all of
yeah.
these toys and I don't know where they went. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know that was something that that my parents did with my brother and myself when we were younger.
Yeah.
Of just like, these are older toys, these are stuff you don't really play with. We're
Hmm.
going to go give these to different families that don't have anything,
Yeah.
and we were part of it and got to see like the kids and like get so excited of these toys, and we
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay, cool. But yeah, I am not a sentimental person. I don't have a lot of stuff from my younger years, but I used to own a screen printing business. My brother, one of our good friends, and I started a business screen printing T-shirts in high
Nice.
school, and I have some of the first ones that we made. And like, back then, I was thinner. I was in high school. I was a skinny little kid, but I also, in the early 2000s, it was like very fashionable for guys to wear like two sizes too small, and just like the shirts that just like hug your body.
Yeah.
That if you have abs, people can tell through your shirt, and that's what I did. So I like, all of those shirts are like smalls, and I am not a small anymore. So I'm like, should I hold on to these just because I made them, or should I get rid of them?
You should
So
frame them then. Frame them and put
I
them on the
should.
wall.
There's one that was like our signature. The name of the t-shirt company was the Dodo Tico. Um, because like Hollister had albatross and there was American Eagle. We're like, we're gonna go with the dodo bird, and there was one with like our dodo bird logo like flipping,
Nice.
and I was like, I could see that, I could frame that, put it over here by the
Yeah.
door. That'd be fun.
It's a
Okay,
storytelling.
yeah, okay. So you said number 8
Mm-hmm.
for your second choice, and that is, what is your favorite smell, or a favorite smell?
Oh, my back to the kids.
Okay.
I love smelling my little kids when they take that shower and their hair and their
Mm.
skin is all just that little kid smell and baby smell.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the best smell for me. My daughter was asking me that she was watching something on YouTube, and I guess um, they're putting blinds on the kids and trying to see if they could find their mommies and if the mommies could find their kids. And she's like,
Oh
do you think
yeah.
you could find me if we blindfold you? And I was like, 100%.
Oh yeah, I could smell you from
100% I
across
could
the room.
could 100% find you and your sister. She's like,
Uh-huh.
really? I was like, oh yeah, for sure. I said, and you will find me too. I said, you will know
Yeah,
it's me.
yeah.
So I
There's
think
something.
there's something about it that, especially when they're babies. Oh my gosh, that baby smell is the best.
There is something about like that little baby, like the top of their head. Just, what, I don't know what that smell is. But it's
It
just, yeah, it's like a sweet little thing, and it could just be a parent thing, and everyone
I
who
was gonna
doesn't
say, if
have
you guys
kids
don't
is
have
just
kids, you
like,
probably would sound like crazy right
yeah,
now,
they're
but
like, oh wow, this is weird. They're just smelling babies' heads. Okay. But yeah, there's something about your baby's head, I
oh
think.
yeah, for sure.
I don't go around smelling other
Smelling
people's
babies, right?
babies. But yeah, okay, awesome, sweet, I love it. So okay, you are based in Jacksonville, Florida, correct?
Yep,
Okay, sweet.
still here.
Still there. Could you give us a little background of like what you do and all those kinds of things?
Yeah. So it's always a loaded question of what I do, right? So
Yeah.
I am a multi-business owner now these days.
Yeah.
So I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I own a couple of photography businesses here, and have a team that works with me with photo and video. So very successful photography business. I'm a wedding photographer. I also started into education this year. So, education for wedding photographers is specifically more into the business side of things. Business is one thing that I really love, and I feel like it's a skill and an interest that a lot of us lack as photographers. Like we love the art part of things, and then we kind of let everything else go,
Hmm.
and that a lot of the times is the number one reason why people are not making it, why they're not being successful, is because they're not putting the attention into the business side of their business, or not remembering that this is a business. So I love helping people kind of find, understand, and find a good on putting time into your business. You
Mm.
can be an okay photographer and make a lot of money. You can be an amazing photographer and fail miserably and not have a business in 6 months.
Yeah.
So, paying attention to that part is crucial to get to where you want to get to grow your business. And I think that there's a lot of education out there on like how to use your camera and how to the technicalities of being a photographer. And I feel like people need to break things down and make business a little bit more digestible, right? Need to
Yes.
like be able to consume that in a more easy way. And I feel like me being from another country, like it helps me to be very like, when I'm explaining things, I make them as easy as possible for people to
Right.
understand.
Yeah, you're not gonna be like going in and using all these, crazy big
Yeah,
words and all of that.
yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna do the
Make
easiest
it simple.
possible. Yeah, make it simple, make it understandable, digestible, like you said. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's what holds a lot of people back, especially because like we're creatives. We have that creative mind of like I want to go out there and I want to do this and like can see this light and I want to do this thing with it. And then it comes to business and we're like, I don't know, like
yeah, not
i've
really.
got i've got a honeybook set up so people can pay me. And other than that, I don't really
Yeah.
know a lot of the business like strategy. And like when it comes to growing and SEO and marketing and all that, a lot
Mhm.
of us are just, we have no idea. Word of
Yeah,
mouth, that's my marketing, is word
yeah.
of mouth.
It can be overwhelming. So, I
Hmm.
started that in order to help people too, and because you can, I was able to grow really fast in a very short amount of time, and I know other people can do it. If I was able to switch careers and do this, anybody can do it.
Oh yeah.
So that's the photography education business, and then obviously Timeline Pro is an app that I created for wedding photographers and wedding planners, and videographers. So that's another business, and then I own a couple of Airbnbs in Brazil too.
Oh, very cool. I
Yeah,
didn't know
so
that about you.
few,
All
few
right.
things in the
Yeah, I will hit you up whenever,
yeah,
because that's been on our bucket list. We want to go visit Brazil, which I was going to hit you up anyway and just be like, where are the best places
where
to
do I
eat?
go?
What do we need to do? So yeah, now I know where to stay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, you just mentioned it. You developed an app, which is crazy. It's so cool.
Hmm.
How did that come about? How did you get to like I'm sure that you like saw the need for the app, and then like how did that development and everything come along?
Yeah. So obviously, the it comes from my own struggles, right, as a wedding photographer, and in trying to find a solution for what could be better, what could make things better. So I noticed
Hmm.
really early in my career that there was a problem with how I had to create timelines, how I had to carry them around on the wedding day. I get a timeline from a planner, that is, then I have to print. Do I even have a printer at home? A lot of
Right.
us don't have a printer at home, print
Or
that.
one that works all the time.
Yeah,
So many
right.
times I'm like, I
Is it
don't use this
connected?
printer all that often, and then whenever I connect it, it's just like there's
Yeah.
a paper jam. Like there's no paper in this. I don't know what's going on, and I need to print this for today.
Exactly. So, you have to print that and then you carry it around. I remember putting that, like, I used to have a little fanny pack and I used to like fold those 5 pages and like try to fit it in there. And then
Hmm.
you pull it out to look at something and you drop it on a dresser somewhere where they're getting ready in the hotel. And then you walk away and
Yeah.
then you are now at the venue and you no longer have that timeline with you. So like where did that go? And maybe sometimes you wrote some notes in there that nobody need to be seen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to see what I was writing about all this.
It is for reference. It's the information that you might need about your
Hmm.
clients, that
Hmm.
you don't need anybody else to be reading, or just everything like that, and like not being able to easily have that accessible to you. And I'm very much into making sure that, like, understanding how the day goes by, that I can dictate the parts of the day that are important to me, right? So
Yeah.
I got hired to make sure that I capture these things, these moments. So how can I, to the best of my abilities, control my environment to be able to deliver that service? And a
Hmm.
big part of it is having control over the timeline. So I am known around here for I'm sending my timeline to my clients and the other vendors 6 months ahead of the wedding day. It's ready,
Yeah.
and this is what's going to happen. Because then what's going to happen is the planners and everybody else will take that timeline and it will kind of build around that.
Hmm.
Nobody's going to mess with my timeline, and I
Right.
know this is what I need to deliver what my clients want. So being proactive on creating that timeline so you can at least try to control. Obviously, there's so many unpredictabilities on the wedding day, and understanding that it's a
Right.
fluid day and that you have to be adaptable. But the more you plan ahead, the less surprises you run into on the wedding day. So
Yeah, that more structure that you have going into it, then whenever those little
yeah,
things happen and you do have to adjust, it's like, okay, we can adjust, and I can see on the timeline where we can shift, or like, oh, we can't do these photos before the ceremony. We've got this space
yeah,
after the ceremony that we can fit this into because I'm looking at it right here. And
exactly.
yeah, I love that you send the timeline so early. I
I
am
do.
also I'd send out like my questionnaire months in advance to my couples and get all of those
Hmm.
questions and start forming my timeline instead of just waiting for the coordinator to send me something
Yeah.
and then being like, oh, actually, they said that they wanted to do a first look and that's not on your timeline, but instead sending everything. Uh, and the a few of the coordinators that I am friends with, they love it, and they're
Oh
just
yeah.
like sometimes they'll email me if it's 2 or 3 months before the wedding and they haven't received anything from me,
Hmm.
and they're just like, hey, I know that you're the photographer for so and so's wedding. Do you already have your timeline together? Because I'm
Exactly.
starting to form ours. And I always just
Yeah.
like work off of yours. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I'll send it over.
That's exactly the point, is like having that ability to collaborate, but like calling the shots when you need to call the shots, right? So they start to
Hmm.
rely on you to have that timeline, which is great because now you can make some decisions that would actually favor you and your client, and make sure that you have that collaboration with the other vendors to make the whole day, you know, as perfect as possible. So that's how it came about. It was just the need of me to of my own need to create something that is easily accessible, that's still beautiful, because I've never liked the look of creating something on a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. That wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I love Excel spreadsheets, but for numbers. I
Yes.
love numbers, but that's
Exactly.
not for my timeline. So I used to go and create this elaborate like timelines that look really nice. And so I'll get compliments all the time from the other vendors, like, "Hey, this looks really cute. I love how you make this. Are you ever gonna sell your template?" Like people
Uh-huh.
ask me all the time, like, "Can you sell the template of your timeline?" And I'm like, you know what? Let's
Oh,
let's look into this.
yeah, I'll do one better. I will make it an app. that you can
Let
have
me get
on your
that.
phone. And yeah, because yeah, I am with you. There's so many times that I'll get a timeline from a coordinator or even from a couple that's just like a Word document or even an Excel spreadsheet with like all of the lines in there too. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, this is so hard to read on a wedding day. And yeah, if you don't know how to make a Word document look good, it takes a little bit of
There's only so
time.
much it can do, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you want it to look nice, especially
Hmm.
if you're having that aesthetic that like matches your brand
Yeah.
and that looks luxury, high end. It matches. If someone's paying six, eight, $10,000
Yeah. Yeah.
for their wedding photographer, and then you show up with a Word document that's like right justified and just like
Yeah.
not designed at all. It's like, oh well, what are we? I know that we're
Exactly.
paying for the photos, but also like it doesn't match the quality of experience that they're
Yeah.
expecting. So yeah, I love that. I love the like innovation. I love that it's always or very often this was a problem for me. This was an issue that I saw, and no one else was really doing anything about it. People were, selling templates of, well, here's a template that you can get off of my Etsy store
Right.
uh, for a Word document that you can put together a timeline.
They still have
Um,
to print
but you still have to print, yeah,
in color now
or
because it looks
save
pretty.
as a PDF to your phone, and then it's like pinching and zooming and trying to figure out like, oh wait, does that say the ceremony's at 1 or is that 11? And yeah, it's a lot, and I love the idea of the app, and I have been playing around with it. I haven't had a lot of weddings this summer, so I'm like waiting for for my
Yeah.
next wedding. I'm like, I am definitely going to use this because it is. I one of the things that I really liked was like you plug in a few of the numbers and everything, and then it generates um, like if the ceremony is at this time, then you need to be doing these photos at this time. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, this is so helpful because that's like stuff that I had put into an Excel spreadsheet of like, if the ceremony's here, then auto fill. This is the
Yeah.
time that I arrive and all of that. But sometimes weddings are different, and then it was so much to go in there and like change all of that code on
And a few
Excel.
people are smart enough to do that, but a lot of people, it's that you talking about, equations and Excel spreadsheets, cells, and things
Uh-huh.
like that, and not everybody knows how to do that stuff. So I wanted
Mm,
to create something that could serve both. Maybe that beginner photographer that has no idea how long they should be taking pictures of details or how long a family portrait should take, but
yeah.
also give the flexibility to seasoned photographers to be like, all right, I got it, spit me out this timeline, like, can I modify this to make it mine 100%? Like, you
Hmm.
have the ability to do that. So I wanted to create something that can kind of serve any photographer anywhere along their journey, and give them something useful, that it can be helpful on the wedding day.
Yeah. I love that because I remember being a newer photographer and being like, oh yeah, we can do all the family photos in 10 minutes. That's not a big deal. And then you have like this long list of all the different family formal photos, and then you're like, oh yeah, and we got to take newlywed photos. And then everyone's just sitting
Mhm.
around waiting for dinner to start because you said you could do this in 10 minutes, not thinking this is going to take more than that amount of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, having that already built in to the app and like auto creating, this is how long it's going to take for family formals, and if they've got a very extended family and this is
You
going to
can
take a little
change
bit
it.
longer, you can change it, which is great, that customization and
Yeah.
everything. Um, we've kind of talked about a little bit of like how scheduling and being prepared before the wedding day um, can help you out and like make that client experience even better. Um, the communication between you and the coordinator and you and the couple and anyone else that is using this shared timeline with you is just like icing on the cake, because
Mhm.
uh, so many times I'll go into a wedding not knowing that someone else has a different timeline, and then
Yeah.
it's the like the conflict on the wedding day itself, and it's like, oh, this could have been cleared up with a couple emails a couple weeks ago. um, but I love that you can share, and is it correct me if I'm wrong, that like they can uh, not edit but kind of like share
Mhm.
yeah, comments and stuff to help kind of form stuff too.
Yeah, so part of the development was to make sure that we could share that timeline with anybody. So I didn't want people to have to create an account and have a login and
Mm,
and go through the hustle of having to do all to the hassle of having to do all that. So we created a sharing mechanism where you can send the link to the timeline to your client and the other vendors, and people can actually click on a specific portion of the timeline and write a comment for you. So let's say you were building this timeline and maybe you put in there that the ceremony is at 4:30, but
hmm.
actually the ceremony is at 5. You made a mistake because you created 10 of them at once,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
you're
like
like,
just
oh wait,
mistyped
next
it in
week it
there.
is for, okay.
So your bride or the planner can just click on that ceremony slot and say, "Hey, the ceremony is actually at 5," and it send it to you and send it back to you, and that comes as an alert to you,
Hmm.
and you can go straight into the timeline and get that fixed. And the other thing I love it too is like it documents when was the last time that that timeline was modified. So how
Mm.
many times maybe you talked to somebody and then you forgot to update your timeline on your Excel spreadsheet or your Word document, or maybe you changed it and you forgot that you already changed it. Like you
Yeah.
just don't know when was the
Or
last
you
time you
had
updated.
already printed the old
Yeah.
version and then you edited it on the
Oh
computer,
yeah.
and then yeah,
It
that's
has
happened.
happened before. So, that creates a real time communication and making sure that things get done on the spot. So that alert's going to be there until you address it. You either going to say, yeah, let's fix it on the timeline, or you're going to say,
Hmm.
and I put an option there so you can say, hey, I actually already spoke to the bride or to the client, and this is actually correct. Like I don't have to fix anything, because sometimes that happens. Maybe they'll say, hey, I think we need more time for the getting ready part because we're going to be blah, 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 blah. And you're like, well, that time that we have there is actually going to accommodate that transportation from the house to the venue because it's only 5 minutes. So we don't really have to change the timeline. So you can
Hmm.
easily say, hey, that has been addressed. It's good to go, which is great. Or your client can also just look at the timeline and say, hey, everything looks great. And then they have a button that says approve it as it is. It's good to go.
Nice.
So, it keeps all that communication about the timeline within the app. So you're not having to go back and forth, um, different people to different emails and making sure that you have it all in there. So it's a real time, like back and forth when it comes to the timeline. Um, and the other thing I think is cool is what you see and what your clients see visually are two different things from
Okay.
a branding standpoint, but they're still talking about the same steps and at the same time, right? So you can present your timeline to them with your brand colors and make sure that it looks professional. And
Hmm.
this is coming from, John's photography company. It has his colors on it, and it looks really nice and professional. And I can recognize it when I see it.
Yeah, instead of just like white background, black text, here you go.
Right.
We have your names at the top of it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's so great, and that ability to be all in one place
Mhm.
with yourself, the coordinator, the couples, if they're sharing the link with parents or anyone who's making decisions about the timeline, what's going on the wedding day, just the amount of time and effort and the amount of emails that that is saving of
Yeah.
going back and forth and CCing people over here and oh hey I forgot to hit reply all but here's an edit that we need to make for this. It's all kind of like wiped away to where everyone's all in there together able to leave those comments or just be like
Hmm.
cool thumbs up we are ready to go. We don't
Yeah.
need to make any more edits. Let's do this. And I know that is something that it takes a long time sometimes uh, getting comments back from either the couple
Hmm.
or the coordinator, because they're like, oh well I can't, like the coordinator might be like, okay well let me talk to the couple about this before we give you the okay. And this way it's just like, yeah, they've already seen it, they said it's okay, then we're
Yeah.
good. And yeah, I love that. So with this is like I want to talk about like wedding day, because we talked about printing and how that is cumbersome. And I'm definitely someone who loves a good like handheld timeline with a pen and all of that, but that is not um not really feasible on a
What
wedding
hand are you
day.
gonna hold it with your
Exactly,
two
yeah. I've got
cameras
two
plus?
cameras over here and I'm trying to coordinate stuff.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times that I'll just like fold that up and put it in my pocket or put it in my camera bag, but then taking something else out at some point, the timeline like you said, or you just like set it down in the getting ready room and then everyone is like rushed onto the party bus to go to the chapel, and then you're like, oh yeah, I
That stay
forgot about
behind.
this, so now I gotta go off of memory.
Yeah.
What does that look like with the app throughout the day? Is that just like something that you can like it just pulls up the timeline and all of that
Yeah.
on the phone?
Yeah, so the great thing about it is we always have our phones with us, right? It's on us all
Uh,
day. It's gonna be in your pocket. You rarely gonna leave it behind on the getting ready location,
right. Yeah.
right? So most likely that's something you're gonna have it. So being able to pull up your phone, click one button to open the app and another button to select that timeline, and there you are, right? So your timeline is there. You can actually swipe it to mark a step as done as you go as the day goes by. So let's
Ooh.
say I'm done
Okay.
with my getting ready, swipe, and it changes color, and then I'm done with the detail shots, swipe. So like you always know where you are, and all you have to do is like a quick like I'm done with this, I'm done with this.
Yeah, that's
So you
great.
can visually get to where you need to be in a quick manner. So it helps a lot with the efficiency of the day.
Hmm.
Basically I kind of know the steps that are in there, and I kind of pre-populated some steps for you guys as the timelines get created. But maybe there's something that you always do that other photographers don't do. Like I offer my guests, my clients, the opportunity to have an additional first look with somebody other than their partner.
Right.
So sometimes they have that with the bridesmaids or their father or mother or whoever, a grandparent. So that step is not in a timeline, so I can add a step and say additional first look and place it wherever it needs to be on the timeline. And that's something that is unique to me that I don't expect everybody else to do. So I
Hmm.
can create my own template in there that always has that, and then always just duplicate that template and reuse that timeline if I want.
Oh yeah.
So it gives you the ability to just be quick, have quick access, and not have to worry about where you left things and going to look at an email for an attachment
Right.
that somebody
Yeah.
sent to you. So
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I love the, well, one, I love the templates. I love a good template. I love a good automation. Anything that can make things more efficient and like use
mhm.
less of my time and energy but still be good quality and actually get the job done, like having that template of, oh yeah, this is my template for a wedding where they want to do a first look with a parent also, and then this is the one
Yeah,
where they want to do a first look, this is the one where they want to be more traditional and like wait till
yeah,
the ceremony, and have that already plugged in where you can just pop that in, do a couple tweaks if you need to, and then you're set. uh, I love that. And the the changing color, the swiping, and all that, because that is so great, because so many times I will look at a timeline, and especially if I'm like
Where am I again?
in, yeah, I'm just like going and going and going, and then I look at a paper and there's so many words, so many numbers, and I'm just like, I don't, like, my brain does not know where to look. I don't really know what that's about.
Yeah.
But like, it takes a minute to focus and then be like, okay, now scan down. Here we are. Okay, couples portraits. This is when that's going to be ending, so I can tell the coordinator we're still on time for dinner or whatever. But yeah, having that like swipe and you're done, and then that quick glance, you're seeing all the different colors. Now the one that's still
Hmm.
the regular color, it's like, okay, that's where we are. Cool,
Yep.
now I can answer
Yep.
this question quickly. um,
I,
that's great.
I've known for being efficient on the wedding day, and I wanted to kind of the the app to help
Hmm.
people have just higher efficiency when it comes to getting things done, because it does allow you to have more of a breathing
Hmm.
room, to make sure that you can be creative, because a lot of what kills creativity on the wedding day is just the craziness of having to go 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 and always being like, am I behind, am I missing something? So
Right.
having a timeline that one, so the way I created the template for everybody is the way I shoot, right? So it was created based on how I do things, obviously with the ability for people to modify it. But I hear a lot from my second shooters and people that work with me, how they never feel rushed. Like they're like, I love working with you because there's always some downtime. I don't feel like we're
Hmm.
rushing everywhere. So I took that as like, the time that I dedicated to each one of those steps, I feel like is a good amount of time to get everything that you need without feeling rushed. So that's how I kind of created the whole template for everybody. But obviously, you have the ability to say, you're like, oh my gosh, now do you take this long to do detail shots? I'm only gonna give 30 minutes to that part of the day.
uh,
So you can change all that and make it yours. But the whole point was, how can I help you guys be more efficient on the wedding day and still be presenting beautiful professional work, just to help everybody. Like it came from a place of wanting to help everybody else to have
hmm.
that feeling of like at ease. I'm good, I'm on time, I have everything done, I know where I am on my timeline, they know where I am on my timeline. Nobody's calling me saying, are you going to be here on time for this? Like, how much longer you guys are going to be there? Like, they have it.
Hmm.
They send it to them ahead of time. So, just to eliminate a lot of that stress that goes on the wedding day, and allow everybody to be more creative.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. It's eliminating the mental energy that it's taking to figure out where you are on the timeline, what you need to do. Are you behind? Are you ahead? What
Mhm.
needs to happen? Have I done all of these things? Have I checked off all the things before the ceremony? Maybe I didn't get these detail photos. I need to go do that or something. But like, having all of that in one place, to where it's, you're not using that mental energy, and you can repurpose that and focus that onto your clients and the creative side of being a wedding day photographer. Because there are a lot of photographers that I talk to, and they're like, I second shot a couple times, and even just second shooting was too much for me. Like, it was so
Yeah.
stressful. I'm like, it's a lot. It is not
Yeah.
just like showing up and being like, hey, let's have some
Not for the
fun.
faint of heart, right?
No, yeah, like, it can seem like that from the outside, especially for, those of us who have been in the business for a decade or more, where we're like, this, we feel this, like, this is, we know, we have a feeling of when things need to happen. uh, but yeah, it is, there is so much that goes into a wedding, so being able to not have to worry about the timeline, but instead focus on your clients on your, let the creative juices like flow, and
Mm-hmm.
do the fun stuff that maybe you, if you're stressed out, because there are times that if I'm stressed out about, oh, we have 5 minutes for this, and I gotta get this done. It's more the traditional stuff. I'm not doing the creative, like, oh,
Yeah.
let me go grab a light real quick and like hit it off of this tree and like get this cool like gel on there and do some different colored stuff, and or
Yeah.
let's do
All
a
gone.
double exposure. I'm like, I'm gonna do one with you smiling at the camera, looking at each other, and y'all walking off, and we are done. And yeah, just the ability to use more of your mental energy for
Yeah.
creative uses is great.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. This has been great. So for the people who are like, I missed the name of this app at the beginning of the episode, um, uh, give them the name of the app, and then like any other, like if there's any other things you wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap up.
Yeah, so the app is Timeline Pro. So we made it really easy for everybody to remember.
Nice.
Timeline Pro. That's what you want to be. You want to be a Timeline Pro. And we have a website, so mytimelinepro.com, and Instagram page as well. So my timeline pro is where you can find us. There's tons of videos in there and posts about the features. We have, beyond what we spoke about, we have a shot list in there that we're actually improving. So we're gonna make right now it's just a simple shot list that you can type in, and you can make sure that it's done so you don't miss anything. But we're gonna create again kind of a template for our newer photographers, or even for those of us who still use a shot list specifically for each part of the wedding.
Mhm.
So we are working on like a phase two development of making sure that you for each part of the wedding that there's a shot list if you want to make sure that you didn't miss anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's coming. So excited about that. And there's a notes section in there, so you can put an address in there. Maybe you can put down the phone number of your planner. Maybe you can put down any specific like notes or details that you would want to know on the wedding day. Maybe you need to remember the name of their dog, whatever it is. Like that doesn't really fit anywhere in your timeline, but is
Right.
information that you might need to have to make
Hmm.
sure that you're providing that great experience. So there's a whole notes section on the bottom of your timeline that your client does not see. Your client does not see the shot list. Your client does not see your notes section. They only get the timeline itself. So it gives you some separation between what you look at and what they
Hmm.
look at from a just making sure you get all your stuff in
I
there.
do like that it's not like they're not seeing all the behind the scenes notes,
Correct.
because like on my timelines I will write down names. I recently did
Yeah.
a reel about this of how I I ask for the names of like the maid of honor, best man, like
Hmm.
important people on the day, so that I can use their names whenever I'm talking to them. And I did that with a maid of honor recently. And I was just like, hey, Chloe, can you help do this? And she was just like, you know my
What?
name?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll help. And I was like, I didn't
So
think,
simple.
yeah, it's so simple. And having that in the notes there, especially for pets names,
Yeah.
that is a huge thing, because a lot of people like that's their babies, that's their
Yeah.
children, is like,
Exactly.
of course this dog is going to be walking down the aisle with me because this is my kid. And just being like, oh hey, can we get the dog over here for a picture? It's like, no, all right, come on over here, Rusty. And that kind of thing, that
Exactly.
elevates the experience. It endears you more to them. So yeah, having that notes section to where
Yeah.
they're not also seeing the notes, is great. So I love that.
Yeah, so it's out there for you guys. We actually made sure that we made version for Android, because I was an Android user until not too long ago, so I didn't leave my Android people behind.
Uh-huh.
So it's available for both Apple devices and Android, which was really important to me. And we're actually global now, so we are available in several countries. So the
That's great.
US and Canada, Australia, and the UK. are all able to use our app, which is super cool.
That is awesome. Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Well, yeah, that's great that y'all are more global and also more global with the uh, Android users as well. I was an
Yeah.
Android user for a long time, and very against Apple, and was like, no, I'm gonna be
No.
Android.
Yeah.
And then FaceTime was what
What
pushed me
did it?
over because everyone was just like, you know, wanting to do FaceTime, and I was like, I have Skype. You want to download that app and then then we can do that.
I know. I fought it for as long as I could too, but it was the computer changing the computer then that made me change my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
trying to talk my husband into it. But it's just exciting to be able to develop something. There's nothing
Hmm.
out there like Timeline Pro.
No.
There's nothing. We did some research. We looked everywhere. And I even spoke to some marketing like global companies, and they're like, there's nothing, like
Hmm.
nothing that compares to this um, from an app standpoint. And it's just exciting that we're able to provide this service and this help to people, and all the fun features that we have, and the things that really make a difference on the wedding day. I think it's exciting to be able to share that with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. There's nothing like it out there. Whenever you messaged me about checking
Yeah.
it out, I was like, oh yeah, there's this is like it's
Mhm.
solved so
Yeah.
many problems, and there's nothing like it out there. Um, so yeah, that's fantastic, and I'll have the links to the website, social media, the app store,
Yep.
all of
I'll
that in
send
the
them.
show
Yeah.
notes, so y'all can just click on through and check out Timeline Pro. But
Yeah.
yeah, before we wrap up completely, there I think we were doing this back in episode 61.
Yes,
I don't
you
know,
did. You did.
was was Rachel still on the show back then? My co-host, or was that just me?
It was just you when you
Okay,
did the last one.
I think we had recently shifted to that because I was like, I know that she did some of 2021 with me. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I was asking this question or not, but I ask now, what is something that you're loving this week? And it could be uh, anything from like a movie, TV show, a new book, to really literally anything. What are you loving this week?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I started actually trying to learn more about investing. So,
Okay,
how to be
yeah,
smart with my money, right? Because
uh-huh.
the goal is to one day be able to retire nicely, and be able to still, just create some generational wealth for the kids too, and make sure that they're taken care of. Given that
Hmm.
I came to this country with $30, made a little bit of progress since then.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole fun story for another day. But just so I've been learning a lot about it, and I found somebody that I've really been enjoying listening to is the financial feminist.
Yeah, Tori
Yeah, so
Dunlap.
she's great. Yeah, so Tori's great. And I've been kind of consuming her podcast and her whatever she has that I can get my hands onto, and I've
Oh
already
yeah.
made some moves towards certain things that are going to be helpful in the future. So I'm excited that I ran into that, and then I know a lot of artistic people are not necessarily numbers people.
Hmm.
But I feel again, it's something that we cannot overlook. That we're not going to be able to take pictures forever. This is a second profession for me. Like I was a healthcare professional before,
Right.
and this is my second career. So I didn't start this when I was 19, like a lot of people. I need to start thinking like, how much longer can I do this physically and
Hmm.
mentally, and what am I going to do after that? How am I going to prepare for the years to come after that? And I think it's important to start thinking about that kind of stuff now, and understand that you can do it. Like, you have the mental capacity to do it if you want to. Like, you
Yeah.
learn how to use a camera. That is not a simple thing to do.
No.
You can do it. You can learn how to run your business and how to take care of your money. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I've been
And
loving.
I love the way that Tori breaks down things on the podcast and like in her
Hmm.
book. the Financial Feminist, where it's like very simple.
Yeah.
And she even talks about how, for decades the financial bros have just, or the stock market bros have just
Made
been
it
like,
sound difficult.
made it sound so difficult to get into investing and doing stuff. And she's like, it is not that difficult. um,
Yeah.
and there are places that you can put your money that is going to get a big return on your investment, that you don't have to hire one of them to go
Yeah.
invest your money for you. And just the stuff that I've learned, I think, I don't know, we've been listening to her podcast for maybe the last 2 years or so.
Hmm.
My wife found her first and was just like, this is so great. Listen to
Yeah.
what she said about this. I had no idea. And I was like, oh, let me
Yeah.
see. So yeah, we love Tori, and took one of her workshops recently a few months ago,
Ooh, yeah.
which was great. And we were like, okay, cool, because we're also in that, like, we want to not just have money, we want the money to be working for us, and
Hmm.
we want it to be growing, and we don't want it. I think that a common misconception or teaching from whenever we were younger was, put your money in a savings account, like save
Yeah.
money, have a nest egg for whenever you retire. It's like, my
No,
savings account gives like 0.001%. It's like I make pennies
not
on,
anymore. You
not
need to pull that
anymore.
into
Not
a high yield
high
savings
yield savings account. That's right.
account. We can do a whole podcast
I
on
know,
finance.
yeah. And part two, we're going to be talking about our finances.
Hey, gotta
But
make that money and make the money make more money.
exactly. Yeah. That, and, multiple streams of income, because if the pandemic taught us anything, it
Yep,
is, you cannot have all of your money coming from one stream, because if that gets closed, everything dries up. And
exactly.
yeah. So, okay. Well, awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll have links to the Financial Feminist as well. So y'all can go check that out. Everyone who's just like, what is this? This sounds
Yeah.
amazing. I know nothing about my money. So, yeah, it's great. I love Tori. Um, and she recently knocked,
Dave
what's
Ramsey
Dave Ramsey out of
down.
number one from the financial podcasts.
Yes, she did.
Which, if you know anything about her, that is a huge huge success.
That was her
She is not a fan of Dave.
enemy number one.
Yes, yeah, yeah, rivals for sure.
Uh,
Um, but okay, yeah. Let's see. I am loving a movie that I watched. I don't know, over the summer. I think it was on Max, previously HBO Max, called "Don't Worry, Darling," and like there was like that whole, I don't know. I think it was a big story that they just made up for people to talk about. "Don't Worry, Darling," with like Harry Styles and Shia LaBeouf and bunch of stuff going on. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was an interesting movie, kind of like a thriller ish movie, but not like a suspenseful, like it wasn't gory, it wasn't like a horror movie type, but it was an interesting, set in like the
mhm.
50s, I think. And Flo Pugh and Harry Styles are a couple, and that was fun because I like both of them. um, but yeah,
On my
is
list.
good. Yeah, it's good. It's one of those that, like, halfway through you're like, oh wait, is this what's going on? And I love those where there's plot twists.
Good.
So yeah, I'll have a link to that for anyone to watch as well. But yeah, well, Nada, where can people find you on social media? For Timeline Pro, and then also for your photography work.
Yeah. So if you need a wedding photographer, is at NS Photobook Weddings. So NS Photobook Weddings. If you want to learn more about business, photography business, is at Photo Biz Education. And the Timeline Pro is at My Timeline Pro.
Perfect. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'll have all those links for everyone. And yeah, Nada, this was so fun. It was so great getting to chat
Yeah,
again
thank
and
you.
catch up and talk about timelines and communication and scheduling and all those very important things for weddings.
Thanks for giving me the chance to share, and hopefully I can, can be helping more and more people with
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Facebook, YouTube. I was blanking on the name YouTube. Bye, guys. It's good to have y'all here, and we will see you for the next one. Bye, y'all.